Welcome to the Prime Authority, the official podcast of the Sim Madden League.
Be great. Let's be great.
Where we cover everything from sports, news, predictions, and more in our Madden Football League.
Play our game. All right? Play hard, but stay poised.
And now,
here is
the voice of SML, Primetime 000.
Hello and welcome to the SML podcast. I'm your host, Primetime 000, and with me today is our Tampa Bay Buccaneers owner, Nole Overlord. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Bucks are, I think, overachieving this season. Can you say that, or what's up in Tampa Bay right now?
Oh, I mean, I felt pretty good when I picked the Bucks to begin with, but yeah, I would definitely say they're overachieving. Jameis Winston is incredibly inaccurate, and I'm having a lot of trouble with keeping him consistent. So, to say the least, 38 touchdowns alone proves that I'm definitely overachieving.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Is Jameis Winston the long-term answer at quarterback?
It is. I signed him to a 7-year, $120 million deal to lock that in.
Wow.
So I guess so.
Wow. So you've seen enough in Jameis. Did you tell him to stop the eat the W crap? He's been cited on camera. So anyway, you're in the NFC. Right now you're leading. I think you pretty much got that conference salted away. You're sitting at 10-4. The next closest is 6-8. Is the NFC South any competition at all?
Yeah, man, I get the criticism, I guess, this year. I think alone looks pretty rough for the NFC South, but I think Mike FML is really, probably somebody that I need to probably worry about in the future, years to come. He's got a bunch of young, fast receivers that it's really hard to play defense with, especially with my crappy secondary. So I think it's gonna, in the next couple of years, probably end up being one of the better divisions. I think. ZZ's got some room for improvement as well, and I know he's gonna get better.
So I noticed you left out NYT. Is NYT the worst Madden player in the SML?
I mean, he gave me a tough time, man. He scored like 48 against me the last time we played. I have no idea. I don't feel good about any of those players.
Yeah.
I mean, they always put me in a tough corner. So.
Yeah, I like ZZ. He's obviously he's off on vacation right now. We're filling in. ZZ the Great is hopefully he can live up to his name coming up here soon. We've got a lot of competition in the NFC though as a whole. You got Chicago. Seattle's looking really good. Redskins, obviously the Eagles, the Governor. Grams is the Cowboys. Have you played any of these teams, and who do you kind of see as your toughest out right now?
Yeah, Grams and Future, I've played both of them. I haven't played Grams this year as the Bucks, but I did play him last year as the 49ers, and that was my toughest game all of my entire season last year. I just couldn't get anything done against Grams. He torched me like you torched me. And so, yeah, Grams, I got a lot of respect for him. I know what it's going to come down to when I play him. Future and I had a real close game. I think he beat me with a game-winning touchdown to DK Metcalf, and he's the real deal too. He's real hard to stop. Like I was worried the entire game against him. So both of those guys are top of the cream of the crop for the NFC.
Now with that being said, like you said, Future great player. Out of those guys, who do you think, if you don't, taking you out of the equation, who can you see being the NFC representative in the Super Bowl as we near playoffs?
I think it's Grams. I haven't seen WTF Gamepad, and I know he's on a ridiculous tear right now. But I've only watched one of his games, and it wasn't his best game. Right now, I would say Grams.
Yeah, Grams is a solid player. He made the Super Bowl a few times last cycle. Switching over to the AFC, you're obviously in the NFC. Have you watched much AFC games or played anybody over there to kind of make any predictions?
I have. I've played the Tiny Titans. They beat me. They're 8-6. I know they're in the run for the playoffs right now. Dumpahontas torched me with his secondary. You, of course, you destroyed me. You're my pick probably out of the you're definitely my pick out of that conference. I think Dumpahontas is somebody to look out for.
Yes.
He's making it work with a pretty terrible offense. And D.D. Westbrook and DJ Shark is who killed me. So
yeah.
I like them. And I've caught Meats in a couple games as well. Meats looks like he's got his team under control. He's got players that are going to develop into future studs as well. I think he's got the longevity with the Ravens as well.
Yeah, I agree. That Jaguars roster is interesting because offensively it just seems like it's dead. But then you look at that secondary led by Jalen Ramsey, and you can't get any passing game going. It's just frustrating, very frustrating. He does just enough to obviously put himself in a spot to maybe make the playoffs this year and obviously years to come. So
Yep, I agree.
that being said, we're just about done with season 1 here in Madden 20. What have your thoughts been on it? Is it what you thought it would be, any better or worse than what your expectations were for this game?
Man, I had high hopes coming into the season. I think it's probably almost met expectations. I thought it was going to be better. More chances to have big defensive plays and stuff like that, and I've definitely seen that. My biggest criticism is just the sacks. I mean, you just cannot get realistic sacks. Anytime you have an X factor, you've got somebody that's putting up 36, 32 sacks in our league. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But any team that doesn't seem to have an X factor blitzer, like me or you,
Right.
we're sitting with our leading sack leader at our team, getting 10 sacks,
Right.
while other teams have 38.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. That's my biggest criticism. But yeah, it's been definitely better than last year.
What do you think about their lack thereof of changes in franchise mode? And if you were a developer, if you had a wish list, what would you do to improve franchise mode?
Man, I would do more with the contracts, to say the least, like making it easier to understand what guaranteed money looks like, doing front end contracts and back end contracts, as well as staggered contracts, base contracts where they're every year you're getting the same amount of money put towards that contract. I know like Cameron Brate's contract looks like that. You can't do that in this game. You're stuck doing the same thing every year with every contract. That'd be my biggest thing. I mean, that seems like a simple fix, and they just don't ever do it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Contracts. I would like to see gameplay wise some sort of dynamic weather, whether, at
Yes.
halftime it starts raining or the field progressively gets worse to where guys start slipping later on in games, or maybe it starts raining, your passing game actually just goes to crap. Like you can't really throw the
That would
ball.
be
Just
awesome.
like real life,
Yeah,
and it makes
agreed.
it makes it worth having a dome stadium maybe where you don't have to worry about it, or home field advantage if you're a dome team matters. Stuff like that. Um, that being said, um, overall, Madden looks like it's heading in the right direction again. Would you like to see? I've talked to ZZ about this a little bit. 2K has made a few games in the past. Would that be something you'd be interested in if they started making a football game?
Yeah, I think so. 2K is doing a lot of the right things with their Dynasty mode as well, with their My Player mode, with NBA. I play that every now and then when the new seasons come out. It seems like they're heading in the right direction too. I'd totally be interested in that. More competition, the better.
Right. So we're heading up now, switching gears again. NFL, and we're going to direct this back to Madden a little bit. Antonio Brown, what's going on? How do you feel about the Antonio Brown situation? If
Man,
you were
this
a
is a,
general
this
manager,
is a Sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, well, how do you feel about it? And then if you were a GM, he just got cut. I'm sure you know, but he just got cut.
Yeah.
So what would you have done in this situation? Is CTE to blame here?
It might be. I have no idea, man. That guy is on a different level. He totally seems to be in his own head, like we've seen in the past. Chad Ochocinco, Randy Moss. I mean, Terrell Owens. These guys get caught up in the hype of themselves. As far as he goes, though, I caught all of the Hard Knocks episodes, and most recently episode 5, the final one. And he caught this pass in practice that was just ridiculous, like more ridiculous than the Odell Beckham catch. And he called it. He's like, my foot was in bounds. My foot was in bounds. And sure enough, the replay shows it, and he's in bounds. And I was like, dude, he's still got it, man. Like he's gonna go to some team, and he's gonna be a number 1 wide receiver in all fantasy leagues this year. I mean, he's still got it. I mean, we can't doubt Antonio Brown. You just can't.
Right,
So
right. He's a great player. Is he worth the what should I say, the media hype, the locker room cancer potential? Is he worth that?
I think so. I think other teams are doing it with players just like him. I think Odell Beckham's a prima donna just like Antonio Brown. Not a whole lot of difference there. I mean, those guys are locker room cancers, to say the least. I think you just got to trust that the right team and the right environment will work. But John Gruden's just not that kind of guy. He expects everything to work around him and him to be the focal point, and that's just not going to work with Antonio Brown. So yeah, maybe
It,
the Chiefs could
yeah.
totally make that work. So yeah,
There's definitely a few. You hear the scary Thanos idea of Brown going to the Patriots and
of course. Yep.
creating this, and it works on so many levels. Obviously, with Patriots, always they have that culture built. You're going into that culture, whereas the Raiders are trying to establish a culture, And John Gruden, like
Exactly.
you said, he's his own guy. He's his own culture. So whatever he says goes. There's no working around it. I would like to see Brown playing. It would be my Colts probably aren't going to win nothing this year. So if he goes to New England, that's fine with me. So uh, that being said, switching back to Madden a little bit. Um, you've got Antonio Brown, who's on the Raiders. He's an X factor. You got a few other guys on offense. They've added offensive line X factors. What do you think about that whole situation, bouncing off Antonio Brown? We talked about the defensive lineman X factors, where they seem to be OP. Is this uh, what you like for Madden, these X factors, or is it something you wish they'd scrap after a year?
Yeah, I do like it. I was not sold on it at first, but seeing how like bad teams, for instance, like my team, the Bucks, seeing how these bad teams are able to kind of utilize these players to give them consistency, and I think that's what they're missing. Like when you don't have good players, it's really hard to constantly make every catch or break every tackle when you've got pretty crappy offensive linemen and pretty crappy running backs and wide receivers. It makes everything just more difficult. And I think the X factors kind of play into the fact that you can use your X factor and kind of have a nice trade-off to find some consistency with your offensive game. And I do like that. I definitely like it on defense. I mean, I think it's changed the game on defense entirely. I think you just need to dial back the rushing the rushing
Yes.
X factors. Those ones seem to be the ones that are completely broken right now, and they just need to fix that. So,
Right on. All right, man. That's enough talking about
mhm.
Madden. I want to get to know you a little bit, then we'll wrap this baby up. Nole
All right,
Overlord
sounds good.
joined Madden last cycle, I believe. How long have you
Yep.
been playing Madden for?
Man, as long as I can remember, probably like sixth grade, seventh grade.
There you
So
go.
I'm 31 now. So that's a while back. We're talking
Yes,
20 years probably.
there you go. What got you into CFM?
I don't know, man. I just kind of just started playing.
Hmm.
I think Colton, the Colt 45. I work with him, and he was always playing in them, and he was trying to get me to join. And I think I joined one of his a little while back, and that just kind of spiraled from there. I joined a bunch of other ones that he ended up joining, and somehow led me to the SML. And I'm real happy here. And
Sweet.
so I definitely found the best league that I've been a part of, and I just happy to be part of everything here. So.
I appreciate that. And so, that being said, would you, what do you like most about CFMs? Is it the community aspect? Is it the competition? What is it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I definitely like the community. I love the fact that there's consistency every week in terms of like power rankings and the chatter back and forth, the Twitch online streams, everything you guys put in place has built up and the hype for every game. Like I'm watching games with players that have only won 2-3
Right,
wins on the season.
right.
I jump on there and watch games like that all the time just to see, just to scout. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely the community. I think adds an extra flair to it all. But I mean, you guys' competitive competition in this league is second to none. I haven't seen any competition like this league before. So you guys got stacked rosters on either side of these conferences. I mean, it's intense. Definitely makes every game more exciting, and every game that I win, becomes that much more of a notch on my belt, so to
Right.
speak. So yeah.
So that being said, if you could stick it to one guy in the SML, who is it?
Man, I love sticking it to Mike FML, man.
Right
He's definitely one of my favorites to stick it to. Right now, man, I think it's probably you though. I mean, you killed me 38-7. You're the
Yeah.
only team that's blown me out this entire season. Every other game I've lost, I think I've lost by less than a touchdown. So there's definitely something going on with you. So yeah, definitely want to beat you right now. I don't know if it's necessarily personal. I definitely
Yeah.
like you as a person.
Yeah.
Just want to beat you.
You just want to beat me down. So no, man,
For sure,
I
man.
will say I was on a 4 game lose streak. I had to come alive, and I was nervous for the game. I was scouting you a little bit, and I'm like, man, this guy, he's blowing some dudes out. I'm getting nervous, and I was unexpecting of what was going to happen there. But I think Madden had a little bit to do with it. I'm excited for maybe a Super Bowl of the Colts and Bucks and a much
Oh
closer
man, that'd be
game.
awesome.
That being said, man, we're at 15 minutes. The mic is yours. Do you have anything to say?
Not a whole lot. I mean, the Seminoles come on in about 45 minutes. Hopefully, we can reclaim some problematic week last week that we had against the Boise State. Hopefully, we can beat some UL Monroe. And of course, that's the reason why my name is Nole, not Noel. Nole, from a Seminole fan, went to Florida State. So
There you go.
go Noles.
There you go. That is Nole Overlord. He says he has not ate or stolen any crab legs. He just loves playing Madden. One of the greatest and upcoming stars of the SML.